It has been a year and a half since the Central Canada Hockey League has played a meaningful hockey game, but hockey is back in the fall of 2021 as the league begins a new regular season. In conversation now with Kevin Abrams, the commissioner of the Central Canada Hockey League. Kevin, it's been a long haul. Take us from March of 2020 to now and everything that has happened.
Well, I probably don't have time, but I can tell you in summary, it's been at times hectic, at times frustrating, and certainly there's been several developments that took us on a variety of paths. But I think one of the things that was good was that our group as a membership group in the league really worked hard to find ways to deliver whatever they could deliver to players and families in the last 18 months. But it's been unprecedented in so many ways that it's really hard to describe. But we're just really excited about what lies ahead, and hopefully we can go with whatever hand we're dealt with and just work through whatever challenges we might have coming up.
So what will be different? Last summer or last fall, winter was really about developmental scrimmages, which had all kinds of restrictions around body contact and face-offs. Are we back to regular hockey this fall?
We are. That was one of the first things I think that was different for us. And I think with the arrival of the vaccines, I think really triggered that. And I think what we've done is just sort of listen to what the direction has been from the province and from the local health units, and found ways to make the best of situations. And this season, at least, the on-ice portion of the game is going to be relatively unchanged from what we're used to. I think last year, we found ways, but it wasn't ideal. We all recognize that. I think this year we've got a situation where you'll see some differences. Of course, there'll be the bench personnel will be masking, and there'll be some varying degrees of preparation, but once the puck drops for the games, I don't think the fans will see any difference.
What about the fan experience? How will it change? And I understand because of provincial legislation, there will be restrictions on how many people can be in buildings.
Yeah. So as we speak, we're dealing with a 50% capacity cap. There is another cap at 1,000. So for some of our facilities, that's an additional layer of a restriction. It does vary from health unit to health unit somewhat. So as a result, you might see some things implemented in one location that aren't implemented in others. I think the other side of this is that we're going to be dealing with some seating restrictions. Perhaps only families can sit in close proximity to one another. Some distancing within the facility, but the capacities I think are workable for the most part for most of our teams, and it's just a matter of getting adjusted to that part. So from a spectator's point of view, that'll be the difference I think that they notice and will deal with for sure.
Last year with the developmental scrimmages, this year back to regular hockey. This has been tough on players. Some players have lost entire years. How are the players doing? And also the question about the ownership group. This obviously had a financial toll on teams as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first part with respect to players, everyone lost a year. I think every player that plays the sport, whether it's our level or levels below or above us, lost a year for the most part, except for the highest level. I think players are resilient. I think we use that term a lot, but I think when we were faced with a lot of the challenges and restrictions that we had, they were the least likely ones to have any complaints. They just were happy to be playing in some way. So they really got a lot out of what they could get out of playing last season. I think we adjusted, our coaches adjusted, our owners and management teams adjusted. Certainly from a business perspective, missing almost 2 seasons of really important times of year, 2 playoffs, 2 sets of training camps, things like that were difficult. But I think the group that we have, again, very resilient, found ways to work through the process as best they could. And you know what? I think you could lament and say how poorly things are being dealt and the difficulties we have, but it pales in comparison with what a lot of people in other industries dealt with, and we recognize that. So we're very fortunate in so many ways, and I think the general population dealt with all sorts of adversity, and we were no different. But I think we just hope to be able to provide something that makes the communities feel like things are normal again. And any role we can play in that return is important to us, of course.
You've been doing a lot of mitigation planning for every type of scenario. You went through that last year when you were hoping to get a league started and ended up with really just developmental scrimmages. Are there plans B, C, D, E, and F again this year?
If we learned anything, it was to not over-plan for scenarios and just be able to be nimble and think on our feet. Are there contingency plans? Yes, there are, like short-term solutions to problems, but I think for the most part, we didn't want to go too far down each path, because along each path there's also deviations that you have to be prepared to make. So you might think you're heading in a direction that's going to be a long-term solution, but very often it was short-term. So we just tried to be nimble, we tried to be reactive, we tried to be prepared, but because we weren't sure what we were going to be dealing with from almost like a day-to-day basis, really, we just found the ability to be as fluid as we could and react to whatever situations that we were being faced with. So we do have some ideas as to how we'll react. We've got some experience now, certainly, in how to react to things that are unplanned. But I think at the end of the day, we're just preparing for as normal a season as we can. If we have to deal with something that's some level of adversity, we'll find a way to deal with it. And I think at the end of the day, that's what we'll do.
So final question, you've been around the game of hockey a long time at every level, player, coach, manager, owner, commissioner. How does this whole situation compare to anything that you have experienced in this great game?
Well, it can compare. I mean, I've never, and I think everybody would say this, is so unprecedented. It's generational in terms of the impact it had on the sport. And all sports and all activities. I mean, I'm not a young person by any stretch, but in my lifetime, I didn't deal with any of this kind of thing. I think you're sort of unaware of how capable you are of working with challenges that seem immense and impossible until you're faced with them. So I think I've never dealt with anything like this. I'm proud of the fact that we found ways and showed maybe a different side of ourselves, that we could get through things and work together closely. It was not easy. I was probably busier on a really more consistent basis for the last 18 months than I've ever been in the 15 years I've been the commissioner of this league. So it's hard to explain that to people because it's a different kind of busy. But it's just, I think we talk about scenario plans, and your mind is filled with all sorts of different possibilities, and that's really what takes its toll on everybody here. So never seen anything like it. Hopefully won't again, and hopefully this season is one to remember for some good reasons.
Okay, thank you very much, Kevin. Kevin Abrams, the Commissioner of the Central Canada Hockey League, on the eve of the 21-22 CCHL season.